Mr. Amr, now you represent a whole industrial zone behind the German university. From what we heard, from what the engineer Ahmed said, Rascom is there, but there is a third party, which is the government. So if the third party does not exist, and you all together, are you able to execute this model to gather the factories and to collect from the factories, and you as an association, you will be responsible for dealing with the banks and to install the solar system? What are the opportunities to do this? But at the beginning, without being lengthy, tell me the nature of the environmental problems that you face, either pollution or energy. Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Abla. Thank you all. Thank you for your invitation. I'm going to talk from a different point of view. The title of the session, we are talking about the obstacles and the difficulties, challenges of the environmental compliance. It's not a commitment, but it's to be committed. And this is, I'm not forced to do it as a factory owner. I voluntarily do it. I am in the kitchen, and I know and I understand the problems of the SMEs and its relation with environment. We have two parts of the problem. The first part, which is related to the state, and the other part is related to the investor. What's related to the state, we as the area of the 1,000 factories, it's called like the 1,000 factories. I'll give you an example. The people of Mecca, they know the tradition and the customs of Mecca. So I will tell you about this. We have what's called around the industrial zone, the green belt. This green belt was established in order to treat the environmental impact for the housing community around this zone. Unfortunately, it was exploited. And this is one of the disadvantage of the urban planning that we supposed to tackle. And actually, this is the main job of the federation, the industrial federation. Then the other part related to the small investor. The small investor, he doesn't have the enough awareness for the environmental commitment. Normally, the small investor is under pressure, especially with the economic circumstances that we are passing through. He has many problems to establish his factory. His first priority is to manage the factory. So unfortunately, we consider it as not important points, but actually they are very important to spread the environmental compliance. It is the responsibility of the state, the responsibility of the civil society. It is the responsibility of the association, the federation. Unfortunately, this is not implemented in a good way in Egypt. We are suffering from this. Answering Engineer Karim, the manufacturer, the cost will be very high if I am a company responsible for collecting the waste. I will tell you a surprise. These small factories, they sell the wastes. Small factories, they collect the wastes and they sell it. There are some wastes that you cannot sell it, and here comes the problem. For example, as you said, the recycling the wood wastes. For example, we found that they throw it in the bin. We need to cooperate with each other. We need to coordinate with a company like your company. We are a big industrial society. We are 1,400 factories. I cannot hear the speaker. He's not using the microphone. I'm so sorry. Ismailia and Port Said, they are the biggest zone for producing cloth, and we have lots of cloth wastes. They refused The wastes was burned in the investment authority because they didn't give us the permission to get rid of the cloth wastes. It doesn't make sense that you burn this waste. So, as a small industrial zone, and that with a very specific, special importance because it is in a very important geographic zone, we are ready to cooperate with whomever is in an initiative of cooperation. But bear in mind that the owner of the factory, he wants to benefit. We have a problem, for example, I'm so sorry to say this, we have a problem in the industrial sewage. It's very costly. For sure, you know this very well. I don't want to talk about this. We have a problem in the industrial sewage. It's very costly, expenses. To be a factory, wood factory, I have no problem at all for the industrial sewage. But they take samples and they do analysis, they take the samples to the lab, and then the expenses are very high. The problem is that the environmental problem will impact us, impact our health, will impact the future of our children. We need awareness raising, we need guidance, we need more cooperation. We don't have information, we don't have database, we don't have the enough awareness. The message itself is not delivered. The awareness in the small investors is not up to the standard. They are not, they doesn't care at all about the environmental problems, and he doesn't know what is the impact of the environmental problems. Yes, because of the awareness. No one explained to him what are the impact of the environmental problems. And as we said, that they are not going to pay more than what they are paying in the current time. He has to be convinced that this is profit for him. This is a good situation. For your question, for the renewable energy, we tried together with Dr. Hisham. There was a company that submitted this project, and we talked with Mr. Ahmed about this. Unfortunately, we failed in executing the project because there is a third party. Me as a manufacturer, it's very important for me to get back the cost, not to pay an additional cost. This is what we are saying. We don't need the third party. If I understood well, we can establish a system without the third party. No, he's saying no. I saw him checking his head. Yeah. You have to store the energy. So multiply the cost by 4. So all the PV, it's on grid. And there is a net meter. When they need more electricity, they will take it from the grid. If it's more, it's back to the grid. And you're paying the net at the end. The electricity company, the electricity distribution company is the main supervisor and the one responsible for setting all the rules, what to be implemented and what not to be. Did you try with the electricity company and you failed? It's one of the audience, but I cannot hear him. They are surplus, and for this reason, they prevented this. They didn't give the permission. I think that this issue is very important to be discussed. Give it another try. The solar energy does not need fuel. In Egypt, we looked at the electricity and we did not look at fuel. The investments in electricity and on the grid, no one looked at the real cost of the fuel. Okay, we're going to open the floor for the discussion, for the comments. Please be brief. Dr. Hisham, Then Dr. Abir. I would like to comment for the zone of the 1,000 factories. I wanted to comment on something that you did not tackle. The scavengers, those who buy or sell to us or from us, I wanted to follow up where they go. I found that the wooden wastes, there are factories that they are open and they produce the wood pallet and they export to Europe. Number two, the CNC for the stainless companies, the surplus, they produce spoons and forks and they are sold with a very high price. Number three, the cloth wastes, it's recycled and they produce threads. So this is money. We are talking money here. We are saving either wood until it reaches a specific quantity or amount, and then he will come and take it. The same thing will apply in the plastic wastes. If I have a chemical factory and I have plastic wastes, so these plastic wastes are recycled. You're doing a recycle for an industrial zone, but unfortunately we are not able to implement this system and to be implemented in our industrial zone because the government is not helping. So instead of paying the transportation to Manshat Nasser, this is an area in Egypt, so instead of this, I'll give him a land and he can establish or build a factory for the recycling. So I saved the cost of the transportation and at the same time I helped in the system. Number two, I have inside the factories a surplus. When you talk to the Industrial Development Authority, they will tell you, no, this is a totally different activity. I'm going to save you. What are you talking about? They are very strict. They are dealing with us as if we are criminals until it's proved we are not. Dr. Abir, please, the floor is yours. I have a question to Engineer Ahmed. What is the success rate of the companies that you were able to reach and that they were committed? The other question, part of the non-environmental compliance is the fine or the fees that the Ministry of Environment impose on those who are not committed is very low. So it's like £10, so it's nothing. I'll take the questions and then I will answer. My question is, peace be upon you all. My question to Dr. Ahmed Kamel, please. The fund that you provide, don't you see that there is a kind of duplication in the fund that you are talking about and that you provide as an office and between the fund that can be given by the bank? I see that there is a kind of duplication here and contradiction, and you actually give a totally different interest, and then the feasibility study is responsible for giving it back again to the bank. I don't understand. You should have a kind of coordination. Also, I can see from my own point of view that the Office of Environmental Compliance, it has a responsibility to work as a coordinator in the classification and the collection of wastes, of the different types of wastes, and therefore to identify the responsibility of each company, like zero carbon, like the 1,000 factories. This is a question. Dr. Mahmoud Sami, I was the first under Secretary of the Ministry of Industry. Actually, I know all of you. Dr. Ahmed Kamal, he's my colleague. Please go to the comment. I have the solutions. But unfortunately, we are isolated islands, and we as a civil society were able to. This is the responsibility of the civil society with the coordination with such entities. First of all, the federation know that there is a sector or a unit is the waste recycle. Do you still have this unit or not? You have all the factories that they work in recycling. You're talking about collecting the rubbish. We have Ihab al-Shirshabi. He is the head of the Clean Authority in Egypt. Why don't you coordinate with them? This is a very important point. We're going to start in Cairo and then Giza and the other governorates. Number 3, I see that it's very easy, but we work as isolated islands. I was the undersecretary of the Ministry of Industry. We have to work under the initiative, the presidential initiative, to cooperate together, how to train these companies. Briefly, we have the solutions, but we need to coordinate, and we are able to implement the solutions. You as the ECAS, you are a non-profitable center to have a conference, a big conference, and invite all the parties. He is coordinating for a meeting with Dr. Abla. She's just behind you. She's going to give you an appointment. There is another point. I would like to thank the success partners. We conducted the training courses in Triumph Hotel with the cooperation with the Ministry of Environments, and we need to do 2 things. To train the companies how to, and to raise the awareness of the citizens. And thank you so much. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank Engineer Karim on the realistic facts that he presented. I think that these problems or these issues can be transferred into opportunities if we cooperated together. My question is concerning the environmental compliance. As I focus more on the youth, me as SMEs, do you provide certificates for the environmental compliance? Is this certified or not? That's my question. Oh, thank you so much. The last comment. It's very good talking about Ismailia and Port Said. What about the industrial zone in Suez? The industrial zone in Suez, from the size and the diversity, is bigger. If we have a close look to the annual report of the environmental situation, you will find that that Suez is in a critical situation. We can see that the highest air pollution is in Suez. So let's talk realistic as you are talking. First of all, unfortunately, there is no legislation, and there is lots of defaults in the legislation system, in the legal framework. Again, the municipalities, they don't understand the issue. So when we mention in the annual report to say that almost 4.5 or 3 in the best situation, millions, garbage mountains. So this has a psychological, a healthy, and an environmental impact on us. So again, we are isolated islands. So please, Dr. Abla, let's say that this session is like an opening speech for the issue. We need to tackle it more because I don't want to go into details. I have an industrial zone in Ataka, a place called Ataka, since the year 1972, and it's not working. And I have a presidential decree for industrial zone in Swiss that produce lots of pollution, and again, nothing is done. Nothing is done. Situation is very bad. Not only in raising the awareness, but even in implementing the decisions and implementing the law, enforcing the law. And we have lots of corruption. I'm telling you, as ECES, this is a start. We totally trust you, and we trust the ECES. This is, let's say, this is a meeting. This is the start. We will never reach the perfect model. We will never reach India unless we arrange our priorities. The circumstances and the situation is very bad. And I'm telling you this, and I have evidence, I have documents. Whatever was said about Cairo and the 1,400 factories, I have disasters in Suez governorate, and it's all documented. So I would like to thank the center, and I would like to thank you all, but let's consider this as a start, because circumstances are very bad. I invite you to send us whatever documents you have, and we are responsible to submit it to Engineer Ahmed. I'm going to send you all the documents hand by hand. Thank you. The file of the file of the wastes and the fifth settlement. This is a zone in Egypt, in Cairo actually. Okay, the final comments from everything you heard.
You mean me, Dr. Abla? You want
Yes,
to
yes, yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. First of all, I'm very impressed with all your speakers and also in the audience. This was a fantastic discussion on refuse-derived fuel, RDF. I wish I had made my presentation on that because I also have a lot of ideas and experience in some countries.
We could bring you again, by the way. This is not your first time now. All right, so
Okay.
let's.
I would
yeah,
like to be back, but I just wanted to say one point, and then I will stop. That whoever mentioned that the legislation, the policy, the enforcement of the laws is very much needed is absolutely correct. And also, we need to say that, for example, in India, everything is being done under the Paris Agreement and the SDGs. All of the states, the local governments, the municipalities, everybody is rounded up together, and the central government is giving incentives to the different states. And it's in the news every day because all the think tanks like yourselves, like ECES, is making a big noise about it. And I think you absolutely can help in this awareness raising. And if there's anything I can support, I will be very delighted to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I agree with you completely, and we'll definitely. This is just the beginning of a lot. Comments من البانل يعني مش في كتير.
I would like to thank you all. First, before I answer the question, I want to just clarify some points. The Egyptian Federation is exactly the same like the engineering syndicate. We are not the government. and the syndicate that we are like the syndicate that we gather all the manufacturer and the factories in Egypt. I help my members, the members of the federation, the factories, to be committed with the different laws, not only in the environment, taxes, insurance, customs. These are kind of help and support. We are doing exactly the same like the engineer syndicate. My members are the manufacturers and the factories. Just to differentiate between, to tell you that we are not the government. Okay, this is the first point. The second point is the office, WAFA, is responsible for helping the members of the federation to be committed. We are only responsible for the industrial part. There are touristic entities that they they are not committed with the environmental comply. I will not be able to help it. Whom I'm going to help? I'm going to help the factories. That's it. These are 2 points, just not to get confused. Concerning the comments, Mrs. Abir. First of all, the KPI, the number of companies that they benefit from our support is 650 companies. But those who benefit outside our support is more than 5,000 companies, because there are some companies that after we conducted the study, they will find out that they will profit more. So he will say, why should I get a loan? Especially to what is related to saving energy. So the electricity bill will be reduced, the natural gas bill will be reduced, also for the solar energy. He will say, for example, no, I'm going to implement it at once. Anything which is related to the raw material, which is imported and it's very expensive. So therefore, they don't want to do it. If we say that the number of the companies that we technically support, more than 5,000 companies. But concerning the funding, 650 distributed on the different industrial zones from among 110,000 factories. Again, he's repeating the numbers. This is the fund of the federation. We don't fund all the companies. So therefore, we do like an example. Today, I'm showing you, I'm showing this sector that this can reach an economic and environmental profit. So suppose that the same example that will be taken into consideration, especially if it is profitable. The private sector, if this is profitable, for sure they are going to implement it. They are going to do it without taking the fund. He can do it from his own money. You are covering all the factors in the dissemination of the idea. I'm going to the 1,000 factories zone. I have a success story. So if I found there the factors, I will tell them we implemented 1, 2, 3. So some of them will say, okay, I'm going to accept this fund. And some other will say, no, I'm going to implement it in my own way, with my own money. So not all the factors, they take the fund. The second point, our fund up till now is what's called a circular loan. Started with 120 million Egyptian pounds and it's going round and round. So if I go to you as a factory to fund you, 5 years ago, I funded the factory of Mr. Am, and then I get my money back. I'm going to give it to another factory. It's like a box. It's a revolving loan. What happened? The 120, they revolved 6 times. The money that went out, 720 million. So when I say, I cannot hear her. When I say that we funded 720 million according to the paper that I distributed among you, this fund can be 30, can be 40, can be 70, can be 80% of the total investment. And there is part on the enterprise to contribute in the investment. We don't provide 100% fund. We help, we encourage the investments. Okay? The KPI, you will find it in the brochure. How many people were trained, the gender audits, energy audits, other details, you can find it in the brochure and can be used in the KPI. There is a kind of contradiction between us and replication between us and the banks. No, we are not a bank. I fund the factories in order to encourage them to invest. As I said, our fund is zero interest. The idea is I provide a fund in order to encourage the factory to invest. The bank is a totally different story. I will take a loan from the bank, 10 million pounds or whatever, in order to buy an equipment. It has nothing to do at all with the sustainability. If I'm going to help you in buying an equipment, it has to achieve one of our objectives, either to increase the productivity, reduce the emissions, reduce the I'm going to buy a new boiler in order to reduce to transfer from solar to natural gas, to achieve one of the sustainable and environmental goals. The coordination with the Ministry of Environment. Technically, we are part of the Ministry of Environment. We established the office in order to tackle these two issues. So whatever we do, we have a complete and a comprehensive coordination with the Ministry of Environment. We started with them long time ago. In the electronic wastes, in the carbon footprint, and the climate change. So we have this coordination and cooperation with the Ministry of Environment. It's okay. The certificates, we work with the youth projects, but without fund. What's related to sustainability, to the certification after our audit, yes, I can give you a certificate, but it is not an ISO certificate. I'm not a party that I am able to give you an ISO certificate, but I can give you a certificate as for the SDGs, or environmental sustainability. Yes, after we do our audit, we can give you the certificate. It's not an ISO, but we can agree. And if you do have a kind of annual review or not. For the on-job, I'm not a training center, but I can train on a specific new technology in the production line. There is a big difference between the training centers that they do have like holes like this, and I conduct training. So it's a totally different story here. Ataka Group with the IDA as the Industrial Federation. Just go to the Industrial Federation if you are a member, because the chamber or the federation itself, when we adopt something, we communicate with the entities, so it will make a difference. So today, the federation, I'm tackling an issue, for example. So I'm talking on behalf of the 1,110 factories and so on. The chamber, for example, if the chamber is talking on behalf of the members, it's different. It's different when I talk as an individual. So go to the federation in order to discuss your problem. We have an insurance committee, a custom committee, tax committee. So when you have a specific problem, so you will communicate with the committee, and then the problem is not discussed as an individual problem, no, on behalf of the members. Mr. Karim, actually, the coordination between the two ministers, yes, you are right. You are right. I'm going to work on this. Thank you so much. I just wanted to comment on what you said on Suez. Suez has a special situation because we are very proud working in Ismailia and Port Said. It was it goes without saying to work in Suez, but unfortunately we failed. Suez as a governorate is not that easy to work in, and you know the governor of Suez, we tried a lot with him. It's not that easy. The industrial zone in Suez, the problem is the absence of the data, the absence of the information. We discussed a lot and we sat a lot with the Federation and the Industrial Development Authority. We try to get the database about the industrial wastes. There is a number that it is said that 35 million tons that they are produced in Egypt. No one has no idea about the 35 million tons are from where, are what. And I doubt that this is a correct number. You did not weight the wastes. So this is a very important point. We took this burden to do the waste mapping and will give it as a gift to the IDA. This is the results that we achieved. So this is a problem. When you were talking about that, this discussion is like a starting point. I would like to give you some numbers. Maybe Dr. Abla will help. Egypt, we produce from 20 to 22 million tons of housing wastes, and there is organic wastes because they produce methane when it is not treated. And you know the effect and the impact on methane on the global warming. It is destructive impact when methane is produced. We have dioxin, and dioxin will cause very bad diseases. The 20 or the 22 million tons. This is a generation model on the population. How many tons from the 22 tons are treated? This is a very important question. The number does not exceed 10%. The 90%, what happens to the 90%? When we say that they are 19 million tons, these 90% are thrown in the canals and in the deserts. Let's take an example like the Delta. We have the governorates of Delta. They are closed governorates and they don't have a desert. If we take El Gharbiya, for example, and Sharqiya, but El Gharbiya, it is the best example. El Gharbiya governorate. All the wastes, which are 3,000 tons a day, they are transported from El Mahalla to Sadat city. 120 kilos the way with solar, subsidized solar, and this is a waste that we could produce RDF and will reduce the usage of coal in producing cement. So you are importing solar, you are importing coal because you don't want to do a good treatment and a proper treatment for the wastes in the governorate of El Gharbiya. Sharqiya, it is the second biggest governorate in the number of population. Sharqiya, we studied Sharqiya for 2 years. Sharqiya, they produce 4,900 tons a day of waste, zero treatment, and it's totally thrown in the canals. I have photos of canals that they are full of wastes. And Sharqiya, it is the second biggest governorate in Egypt in the cultivated land. So can you imagine this? They take the garbage and they throw it in a garbage place. It's 42 faddans that they are all on fire. They burn the wastes, the garbage. We show the videos and the pictures to everyone. So they said it's very costly to pay for every ton in order to build a factory. I'm going to pay 100 million Egyptian pounds for recycling and treating. But you benefit from on the health dimension. I was in one of the governorates, I'm not going to mention the name, and the governor asked me to go and have a look in the place where they throw the wastes. They are buildings in a U shape, and in the middle there is about 250,000 tons that they are thrown daily, and they burn it. Then the governor asked me, did you see the cancer center that we built? And I answered him, for sure you're burning this rubbish every day, so for sure you have a cancer center here. This is because there is no treatment and there is no recycle. We don't measure the industrial impact after this, and the economic impact as well. The absence of the vision and the complicated files. Every ministry see the file from its own point of view. Mr. Amr, last comment concerning the question of Dr. Abir. This is a methodology that they stick before the carrot. If we tackled the methodology correctly, I suppose to work on awareness, changing the mindset, and to put myself in the shoes of the investor. The small investor, he is very weak. Actually, he's very weak. I have to warn him, and I have to make sure that he gets rid of the wastes, and to make sure of the environmental compliance in the entity, in the enterprise, and then I start imposing fines. This is a better methodology, to start with the awareness rather than to set fines. This is implemented in the industrial wastes, and people are complaining a lot because it's not fair. It's not fair because there are factories that they don't have industrial wastes, but still they are classified as the wastes that they produce. It's industrial waste. Okay, thank you so much. My friend is here, but I'm not going to give you the floor because we are running out of time. At the end, Engineer Ahmed, I will disagree with you in a small tiny point. The FEI is not like the syndicate. It's totally different, and it has a different role that need to be more powerful in solving the different industrial problems. I cannot say that it is like a syndicate. Like the engineer, he said that he can't get the license. So this is actually my own point of view. The role of the government, it goes without saying, we need to review and to reform the role of the government. The idea of the aggregation and the OPEX with its different means or types, there is nothing difficult that we can implement if we really want to implement and execute it, and we are serious. And it will make a difference in how we are committed to achieve the SDGs and in the future. So we promise that we are going to work very hard on this file. And finally, I would like to thank Saif and Farida. Thank you so much. I would like to thank you all. I would like to tell you on the 25th of October, we will have another session at 4 o'clock on evaluating the impact of the programs that they combat poverty, like Takaful and Karama. This is the name of an Egyptian program. And we will have an American expert. He's going to talk about the different methodologies where they adopted the AI, the artificial intelligence. So we are inviting you to attend the session. Oh, thank you so much, the panelists, the speakers. Thank you so much, Moa. Thank you so much for joining us.